day. Headed out to Bethel, north of Montgomery. We're gonna get some clips for you all, but the heat has arrived in Southeast Texas. It's humid, it's hot, so we're starting early. We're starting at 7. We moved the ride back 30 minutes at the suggestion of one of our members. So we're going to be starting earlier so we can get done a little earlier. So at the most we'll be back at noon done. So it's about a 4-hour ride. Get some good clips for you all.
On this ride, I left Northampton, rode into the Woodlands, picked up the group at the Alden Village Center. We headed down Alden Bridge. We took Field Store all the way to Dobbins Huffsmith, through Ventura, 149. We began filming on 149 about midway, and we got on Jackson all the way to 1486. We filmed until we got to Dobbins. We stopped at the store. Then we continued on Mount Moriah to 1486 to Dacus, Johnson Road, Bailey Grove, came down 149, and we stopped at Taco, then took the historic route. We began filming around Spring Branch Road, all the way back to Keenan Cutoff, the Hills Parkway, Grand Lake Estates. At the Hills Parkway, we stopped filming. We rode back in Honia Egypt Road. There was a lot of action. The pace was very high. The weather is very humid and hot. So we had 2 stops, but we did a lot of hydration. I think you will like the clips we put together for you. We're on the open road. We're on the FM149 northeast of Magnolia, Texas, headed towards Dobbins, Texas. This area is under a lot of road construction, so we haven't been out here in a while. We took the roundabout way to get here today. There's some new pavement out on 1486 we'll get to see. There's Laura in her California Republic jersey. It fits her well. That's Alejandro in front of Laura. Frank just pulled off, but he's going pretty close to the speed of the group, which you really should do. But the thing is this is a very busy road, so Laura is going to leave a gap for him to get in. Get him off that road. Get on the shoulder. There's a tendency for some riders when they're in a group to get careless, resist the urge. You need to share the road. Don't go out there blocking everybody because you have a right to be out there. If there's a shoulder, use it. If it's safe and clean like this one, use it. And when you do decide that you want to use the main lane, don't sit there chatting. Work. Get off. Basically, when you get on a very quiet road, then you can take it easy. So if you want to just sightsee and find a scenic route that is less traveled, the other road users will appreciate it. I think that's Tim that's pulled off. He was pulling for a bit. I end up letting him get in front of me. This road's very busy. I don't want him sitting up there, so I'm going to tell him to get in.
Go ahead, Tim.
Tim is bouncing on his bike. It's a combination of not being adapted to the cadence he wants to do, as well as his fit. And it's not very efficient if you're bouncing around. It takes energy to move your muscle mass. So you need to make sure you're smooth, especially as you ride more, because it's very uncomfortable. And you have to practice as you increase your cadence to avoid bouncing. So start with a good fit, and then you have to do the neuromuscular coordination training to teach your brain and your muscle to work together so you can carry those high cadences while remaining smooth. That takes work. So when your position is not dialed in, the low cadence, heavy gears, you can cheat. I gave the camera to Paul here, where pushing Jackson Road is where this road becomes Jackson, but it continues on the right as 149. So what I was saying is, you can cheat when your position's bad by pushing a large gear, but what ends up happening is you use your quadriceps more. You're not as efficient. You're not using the big muscles in the back of your legs. And your quadriceps can only last so long. They really should be saved for short, explosive efforts. I'll take a drink here. When it's humid, don't wait till you're thirsty. I mean, whenever you're riding. In the winter, it's harder because you don't really feel thirsty, but you still got to make yourself drink. You want to drink frequently, like every 15 minutes or so. Just take a little sip so you're not behind. Because if you don't drink, then when you get to the stop and you go use the restroom, your urine is like really yellow. That lets you know you got a lot of lactate. You need to catch up. It's not good for your body to go without having fluids in there when you're working out, especially if you're riding hard. Drink before you're thirsty, because thirst says you're behind. We're on Jackson Road. We haven't been there in a while because the ways to get out here, 1488, is under construction. They're adding a center median. They're removing the center turn lane because the area has grown so much. It's not as rural as it used to be, and the volume of traffic has increased. So to minimize head-on collisions, they restrict how frequently drivers can turn across oncoming traffic. That's what's going on. This is the time of year. It's late May here, May 25th. You did this right. You need to break out the light jerseys, the light socks, the lightest helmets, the more ventilated helmets you have, to keep your body temperature down. Because when your body temperature increases, your heart rate will go up. And the body will divert energy from riding to keep your core temperature from going too high. So you need to make sure you're wearing the proper fabrics in the hot temperatures. I think it's Champoussin pulling John. Clément Champoussin. The Arkea Semsic team. John Malbrecht. I'm doing a lot of soft pedaling because Mike Barreras was pulling, so he got off the front. Paul's going to ask him if he wants to get in, and he says no, but then he changes his mind. You'll see.
Okay. Sorry, I'll get in. Go ahead. I want to see my. I want to see my.
So he decided to get in because he saw that, I mean, he knows we film, and he saw the camera was out. He said he wants to see his form. He's made some changes to his riding position on this bike, and so I guess that's what he wants to observe. Mike follows the channel. It's nice to see yourself riding. Until I met Paul DeLonga, I knew I was smooth on the bike. You know, I could feel it. And then when I used to compete, people would say, yeah, you look real comfortable on the bike and so forth. But until Paul started riding with me and filming me, I had never seen how I looked cycling. You know, I had still pictures and stuff. And it was nice to see how I looked riding the bike. So you get to like, okay, you visualize what you've been feeling. So I constantly fiddle with, when I get a new shoe, it takes at least a couple of weeks before I set it up the way I like it. So I'm always fiddling with my shoes to make sure my feet don't get uncomfortable on these long rides. Because if your cleat's not set properly, you can get like circulation issues on the longer rides, you know what I mean? And it can be painful. It's kind of like it can cut off circulation because you're not pushing with the widest part of your foot. And you can tolerate that on very short rides, but as you ride for many hours, you can tell the difference. There's a lot of discomfort. And then plus how you drive the pedals make a difference in how you generate power, how efficient you are. And I pedal with my ankle down, so my style is such that I can feel the pedal. And so I like to make sure that the shoe kind of disappears. So I don't have to tip, you know what they call tipping it. I don't have to sit on the tip of the saddle to go full gas. Some riders move around when they ride. I don't. I don't need to put it that way. Yeah, it's been a while since we've been on this road. It was nice to come back under the canopy of trees. It's overcast, so that helped keep the sun off of us. So just the humidity is very high in our area. With all the rains we've had, it's got to be like 90% or more humidity. The air just seems thick. You get to the stop and you're wet, like you've been swimming. So you have to wear your high wicking jerseys. I'm wearing the Rafa lightweight brevet, which is perfect for very hot conditions. So John pulls off. He's going to drift to the back. He's looking for gaps. When I ride in a group, I like to follow steadier riders. I'm sitting on Paul's wheel right now. No, I'm not on Paul's. I'm sorry. I'm up front. Because Paul was on my wheel when I gave him the camera. Tim is on my wheel. Yeah, I'm up there. I like to follow riders that hold a more predictable line, that are smoother. It just requires less attention. And so I can kind of look with my periphery. I don't have to be focused on their wheel so much because they're not weaving all over the lane. When you ride in a group, you must be very attentive. I've said that before, because when people react to stuff, it can cause you to crash if you're not paying attention. We had a lady, I don't know her, but I heard about a crash that occurred on the Tuesday night ride. There's a Tuesday night ride in town. I think they leave from Whole Foods or something. They ride in the woodlands, and there was some kind of stuff on the road, like hardware, debris, screws, and I think something happened and she crashed. So they did a GoFundMe for her to help with her medical expenses. But, it really sucks because she's going to be, she's hurt, and then she can't go to work, and then you can't ride your bike, and you can't be with your family. It's a mess. So just pay attention when you're out there. We're moving at a good clip. This road is slightly downhill. It's going, it said -2 now. So we're doing 46K, so we're doing about, 28, 27, 28 miles an hour, something like that. I'm not really working hard at this point. My cadence in the 80s. I'm just, I'm sitting in the wheels, so it's a little easy. I'm not pushing the wind myself. The road is going up. In a little bit, Kenny's gonna come on the side with John Clement Champoussin, and they'll go to the front, but the pace doesn't really change that much. I think they should have just stayed back there. I think it's kind of rude when somebody's pulling, especially the guy's been pulling for a while. Unless you're going to do something very dramatic. I mean, the guy, he's got it. He's pulling. Let him pull. I don't know if it's Alejandro that's pulling. Yeah, I think so. Frank is on his wheel, and I'm on Frank's wheel. So Kenny goes up there and then gives Alejandro his wheel. Well, Alejandro did not need help. I mean, unless you're attacking or something. But anyway, everybody does. On this ride, whatever, as long as you're riding safe, we don't care. But what we do is, if you come to the front, we're going to let you sit there until you decide to get off, because you chose to come up there. So we'll sit on your wheel. And if you lift the pace beyond what the group was doing, we hold the group pace. I know I do. When you're tired. Because if you're doing something you can't sustain, we'll let you sit up there until you run out of gas. And then we continue. The train will continue. And if you can't get back on the train, that's your issue. We'll see you at the store. So, and that's the way it happens in competition. You get to the front, you better know what you're doing. Because the train will not wait for you. I just sat in all ride. I really didn't take a pull. I just sat in because I wanted to just kind of see how my body would feel. My form is better, and I just followed the wheels today. We had enough people to pull, so. We're nearing the end of Jackson Road, and we're gonna hit 1486. Fresh pavement, fresh asphalt. I'm not really sure. I guess it's a funding thing because they had just paved that road before, but we'll take it because the shoulder now, there is a wider shoulder than we used to have. It's at least 3 feet. It used to be maybe 2 or a little less. So we've got wider shoulders. They had scraped up the road about a month ago. One of the riders in the area had posted on the board letting us know what had happened. So we were aware of it. So we had not been to Mount Moriah for some time. This is 1486. See the new pavement? The shoulder used to be really narrow. So they've given us a 2-foot shoulder. So that means it was like 1.5, if that. It was much smaller. They've already striped the road and everything. That means they're done. There's some debris and some dead animals on the shoulder and so forth, which we avoid. But this is much nicer than it used to be. The shoulder is really not a bike lane, so to speak. It's really for breakdown. They call it breakdown lane, but you can see how narrow it is. If you have a mechanical, at least it gives you a way to get out of the main lane, and I guess your car will partially be in the grass because this is very narrow. But when the shoulder is this nice, we use it. That's just common courtesy. I think Logan said car back. I see Alejandro in the main lane. This is what I was talking about. When people get in a group, they get careless. The shoulder's fine, so why are you on the road? Stay with the group. The group's on the shoulder, get on the shoulder, so the drivers can see that you guys are predictable in what you're doing instead of straggling. So now there's debris, so we have to use the lane until we go by. There's a lot of stuff. I don't know what it is. See, I'm on the right. There's something. I think it was a dead animal. The shoulder's fine. I just stay on the shoulder. I don't have to be darting back and forth. Waste of energy. Yeah, that was a piece of metal, one of those squared off metal. Basically, I don't know who dropped that. It like it fell off a work truck. Those things are not cheap. You pay for that. So you have it laying on the highway. They're similar to what they used to post traffic signs. You drill a hole in there, you can put your sign on. They're not cheap. I'm sure somebody will grab them. We're right outside of Dobbins, Texas. This ride is very hilly. You can see from the profile. Over 2,400 feet of climbing on this road. I'm not sure what myself. I think something to do with that lake. Somebody for animal. In town, they use those lakes for a retention pond. So when we have a lot of rain, it stores the water, kind of like a delay, so we don't have too much flooding. We still flood. I guess it would be worse without those. Because once you pave the area, there's nowhere for the water to go. So Kenny pulls off. Because remember back there, he had gone to the front at the end of that climb. I guess he's done. So I'm very pleased with the work they've done on this road. The shoulder used to be very narrow, about probably close to half the size, but it would maybe not half. It's just nice to have a little wider shoulder. There's a lot of debris, so we're same to the left. Some of the work they did, those little rocks, they didn't sweep the shoulder. We're going to be turning onto Mount Moriah. The left turn after the tracks here. In about probably half a kilometer, Mike Barreras has a puncture and the sealant. We just see this spray.
Go ahead.
The spray, it was almost like talcum powder. I guess it had dried up in the tire, and it was on my arms and stuff. It wasn't too bad, but it was just. So he had to stop. So we stopped.
Yeah, I'll watch him off.
And he added some air once we got to the store, and it's sealed. We stopped a couple of times. We got it sorted. The wheel I used on this ride when I got home, it was fine. And then the next morning, I was going for a ride, and I just felt the little bouncy feel you get when the air's low. I was about maybe a mile from my house. I just turned around and rode it back. Before I could get home, it was completely flat. And so I just stooped out of the saddle and rode back to the shop. I didn't want to mess with it on the road. And I just changed the wheel and went for my ride. I have several wheels. And when I got back, I pulled the tube out. And it looked like just a failure in the material because there was an abrasion and it had developed a small hole on the inside where it touched the rim. I looked at the area, it was fine. So the rim was fine. These tubes do fail, so you gotta check your stuff. Not all the flaps occur because of something going through the tire. Sometimes these tubes out of the box, they're defective. They can be defective.
Stopping.
Yeah, it's behind him. But we're back there. And he had a flat. I mean, there was a rooster tail of powdery sealant in the air. So I stopped back there I cleaned my arms. It was on my arms and my legs mostly. Probably got on my jersey.
Yeah,
I don't like
on the
that
next
stuff
stop
staying
anyway.
Mike was spraying sealant.
Yeah, he headed all the way though.
So Paul said he had noticed that there was sealant on Mike's bike. So that means the puncture was there,
Yeah.
and the sealant was trying to seal it. The
First
hole was
stop.
a decent size. So since we're already at the stop, they're going to just go to the stop. Mike's going to check the tire, and then he's going to ride to this store and add some air, because even though it seals, you lose some pressure. And it has to get to a pressure to where the sealant can do its job. It's put, with real tires, we put a high PSI in there. So he said that it was like 50 or 55 PSI, and it sealed well at that pressure. He said he didn't need to plug the tire. This is our first stop. And what we do is you get here, you take care of your biological needs, get water, whatever you're gonna get it done, because we try to keep these stops for 10 minutes or less. So we keep moving, get back before it gets too hot.
We're on Old Plantersville Road.
Huh? I said, believe it or not, but riding with this thing, it made me just affect my balance on the bike so much. Just you know, handling it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Paul's talking about holding the camera while we're riding and how it has enhanced his ability
On the
to
fish creek,
stay stable on the bike.
couldn't
That's what we're
believe us.
talking about.
I stay on a straight line. I dance between them. They were
So
all
we've
nervous.
left
I was like, no,
Taco Corner. We've done the second
I
stop,
know what I'm doing here.
and we picked up some additional riders that were at the store. We're headed back. We're on Old Plantersville Road behind Magnolia High School. We're headed towards Spring Branch Road.
Yeah. Let him sit. That's the same stuff every time.
We're approaching Spring Branch Road. Part of this road, they've shaved it with a curve. I think it's unnecessary. I mean, this is not that significant of a curve. But some of the riders that we picked up, they're behind. They're sitting in a bunch. We start to go, and then you will see as we approach Keenan, they start going really, really hard. I was like, man. So I ended up telling, it was actually Alejandra said in Spanish, said, tranquilo, because we were losing people left and right. I was looking in my mirror. But, you know, he didn't back off much. I just kind of left it alone. Everybody knows the way home. So right here is another section where they shaved the road. Totally unnecessary. They coddle people too much. If you can't slow down, you need to slide off the road. This is not an interstate or anything. There's no reason for this. It just is rough when you go over it. Good thing it is not too long. This is Spring Branch Road. We turn. Tim's been sitting up there in front of the group on his own. And as soon as we catch up to him, then he pulls off. I'm like, you weren't pulling. A lot of people ride bikes, but they're not learning anything about the etiquette of cycling. You know, so they're really just riders, and they have no clue about what's acceptable, what makes sense, whatever. So really what you want to do is you observe, and they need to pay the price when necessary. When they make poor decisions, you teach them with your legs. I'm gonna come right here. I've told Paul, let me get in front of me. And right here, we start to ride. Spring Branch Road, high exercise potential, and just beautiful. I mean, who wants to ride in a metro area? Look at this. There, you know, you have cows, we have dogs, you know, trees galore. So we get out of town on the weekend, want to see something different. There is a southeasterly wind. That's what you're hearing. We're going into the wind. Pretty much for the rest of the ride. That's what's bringing these humid temperatures. It's coming from the Gulf of Mexico. This pretty much is the pattern for most of the summer. I like the wind. It keeps me cool. It slows you down a bit, but I'll take it. I'll take the trade-off. I pour a little bit. When it's very hot, I pour water on me, and the wind, the evaporative cooling of the breeze makes a difference. Pour some on your head. I mean, it feels good. We even have these stockings that we put ice in when it's really hot, and we put it between the jersey and your neck, right on your spine. Keeps your core temperature from spiking. I'm not sure what was going on. There's nothing in front of us, but the speeds keep yo-yoing. He's not staying smooth. I don't know what he's doing up there, but that's why you saw me soft pedaling. You see me look down a couple of times. I think I already looked down. I was trying to avoid somebody's wheel. I think almost overlapped, so I just used my hips. But I looked down to see the gear. I mean, right there, and I'm in a 5315. It felt like a 5317, which is easier. It felt very easy, so I had to make sure what am I in, and and that's what happens as you get fitter. The heart rate stays lower. You can carry larger gears. Because we're not riding full gas here, but we're not socializing either. I didn't have time to play with my dogs. We were riding. The pace lifted just a tad. The gearing is important, so you're not lugging a gear and end up losing all momentum. Being in the wrong gear puts you at a disadvantage. I look down again. So I'm like, wait a minute. So that's actually good. I'm gonna move my arms out wide there to catch more wind, to slow down so I don't have to brake. I basically move my elbows out. Make your body almost like a sail. You see my fingers just wrapped on the side of the bars? You need to learn how to relax, because nothing happens up there other than you shifting, and you don't need to be doing anything. You don't need to be gripping the bars for dear life. If your position is right, you should have no weight on those bars. So I basically rest part of my forearm on my bars. It's a very comfortable position there. So Clement Chapoussin, John Wahlberg pulls off. Laura takes over. Road goes up a little bit, 3%. And all I do is shift down one cog, so I'm probably in a 17. You want to be in a gear that you can rev up when you need to. continuously looking around the riders in front of me. I unzip my jersey a bit, get more cooling. Because once we go down the hill that's coming in the distance, we always go up that little incline. And I know it's going to be hard, so I'm getting my body ready. Just unzip my jersey so I can keep my core temperature down. Because if you overheat, you really can't, it hurts your performance. So those were the benefits of being able to look around the riders. I wasn't waiting for them to give me any warnings, but I gave warnings to the riders behind me. So we're starting the descent here. Now, the whole time Laura's been pulling, the pace is fast, but it's smooth. And when Alejandro takes over, you will see the difference. He starts to go like he's doing a 1,000-meter pursuit on the track. And I look in my mirror and we got riders, fighting to stay. I drift to the left because I'm descending so much faster. I stay close to him because as soon as he passes, I want to be able to get on his wheel because now the road is leveling off. Once we go under these trees, if you look at the grade, it says level. It's going to start going up. There we go. It probably gets to like 2.5%, 3%, something like that. But from here until we get to Highway 149, it's a drag. The wind's coming from the right. That's why I'm a little to the left. The right and in our face, southeast. We're headed east. South is on the right. That's where I am. Yeah, he moved over. I think Laura pulled off here. Yeah, Laura pulled off. Somebody set car back. So now we're going into the wind, okay, on a grade of, let's say, 1%. Pretty soon we're doing 40 kilometers an hour. So I looked in my mirror and I could see people back there getting gapped. There's always a rider in every group that comes and wants to show off their fitness as opposed to riding with you guys. And that's okay, they can do whatever they want. But my thing is there's a difference in riding with somebody and in coming to show off. People can see that. Experienced riders see that. They look at you like you're clueless. Because it's kind of like you're doing something you can't sustain. And then at the end, you will see when he pulls off, he accelerates and goes to the left when he pulls off, which is opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. So I just continue to soft pedal after that. In a little bit, I'm going to tell him tranquilo because he's killing himself here. And I looked in the mirror already, and we've got a couple of riders off the group. Which is fine. We don't really wait. We'll regroup when we get to the next stop. But we don't have a stop. It's pretty much to the end of the ride. Because even though it's hard, for me, it's sustainable. 300 and some watts. And we can do this for a while. And I'm thinking, why are we going this hard? So I'll go ahead and let him know. I said tranquilo. He didn't hear me. I ended up saying it twice. Yeah, I called his name and I told him tranquilo. Like, back off a little bit. Why are you killing yourself? The riding over, we got that neighborhood. There's a lot of hills in there. They don't know how to ride steadily. Anyway, because if you attack, if you pull, pull. But he's riding to where he was all over the bike, and I think he was tipping it. You can tell when a rider is going beyond, outside of themselves, so to speak. We had a guy in the area that used to live here, named Victor. One time Mo was riding, and he came around. I don't know what he was doing. We're going downhill on 2854. Mo just looked over and ignored him because it was clear what he was doing. He could only do it for maybe an eighth of a mile or something like that. You know what we're doing. I ended up doing almost 100 miles. It's like, this is a long ride. You're killing yourself. So then when he pulls off, first of all, he pulls off on the wrong side. He's supposed to pull off where he is and let me know so I can go around, because the wind is coming from the right and in front. He pulls off to the left, then he accelerates to the yellow line. And I'm like, so it was clear to me that this guy has not learned the basics. They just ride. And there's a bunch of people that do that. That's okay too. There. He pulls off and he accelerates, and he'll sit up. I'm like, what are you doing? So I have no clue what he's doing right now, because he's doing everything wrong. And so I just keep riding. I'm going to put my hand on and let everybody know, just take it easy. We're just going to ride. The highway's up in the distance there, because I don't know what he's doing. Was I supposed to chase that? So no. When you pull off into the wind, and then you back off so you can get back in the line. That was not you pull off to drink? What was that? So yeah, so we see these things all the time, but these are people that don't ask to say, okay, what's the proper way or whatever, or even research it, go online, whatever. They're not in, but they think they know what they're doing. And those are the ones that are the most dangerous. So I didn't say anything. I just continued to ride. So I slipped to the back. I'm sitting in the back. And then somebody says, Darren's off the back, whatever. We already knew. So when we turn, a rider asked me, are we going to skip the store over here? And my thing is, I take the time, I create a route on Garmin Connect. You know, their tool is not the most user-friendly. I put the stops there and everything. And besides that, I put in the text of the heading, where we're going, how many stops. We've already had 2 stops, and I said there will be 2 stops. So they don't even read that there is a ride and we're going blah, blah, blah. They don't even read that, let alone click on the map. Then you want to come on the ride and ask me questions? So I don't answer questions on the ride. If you're not going to click on the map and look at it or read what I put in there that I took time to do, don't ask me questions. Just watch what we do and follow. I think it's rude. I mean, your time is not more valuable than anybody else's. We get that every week. They show up at the ride, have no idea where they're going or anything. And this is not everybody, of course. There are always people who are on top of their game, and it shows. Those are the people who know the nuances of our sport. And it's like, if you're going to play a game, you better learn the rule. You don't go to competition and expect your competitors to tell you the rules of the game. You're at a big disadvantage. Whether it's soccer, whatever you're doing, learn the rules. You're riding 80 miles, you have no idea where you're going. You're not serious. So I don't come on the ride. I don't answer those questions. You'll figure it out. I specifically put this route together because of the elevation. And then I wanted to try Jackson. So it ended up being a very good route. That's Kenny. You see my watch went to 0. We're about to turn. This is Kenan Cutoff Road. At that turn that we went through, there's a store there, and from time to time we'll stop there, but not on this ride. There was no reason to. We had just stopped at Taco. This is the last 27 to 30 miles of the ride. There was no reason to stop there. We don't stop unnecessarily. Too many stops just breaks up the rhythm too much, and it wastes time. We want to keep moving. When you're riding, don't depend on the stops. Eat on the bike. Drink on the bike. When you stop, use the restroom, refill, drink while you're standing, and be ready to go. It's not the time to mess around. It's not the time to take off your helmet, take off your shoes, and sit on it. This is not a cafe ride. You know, I don't remove my helmet until I get home. That's my uniform. When I put it on, I keep it on. I don't go to no store and take my helmet off. There's no reason for it. If you have the right helmet for the temperatures you're riding in, you shouldn't need to take it off. I forget those things are on. Sometimes I gotta tap my head to make sure I got a helmet as I leave. Because these things nowadays, they're so light, there's no excuse. And I'm mentioning that because some riders would take off their helmet and sit on the ground. I don't sit on the ground in my cycling shorts. Lycra and concrete are not friends. These shorts are not cheap. I don't like my stuff looking raggedy. That's Loretta, El Pirata. Laura doesn't say much. Laura just rides. Laura speaks with her legs. And that's something to emulate. You don't need to say anything. I don't do much talking on these rides. I see a lot. I'll commentate here because I'm putting this film on the web, on YouTube. I want to quantify and qualify what I'm putting out there so that you can decide what to follow and why. That's the reason. It's not about the characters that you see. I just don't want you picking up the habits that you shouldn't pick up. There are always rides where people show up and they're not really riding with you. They're just there to show, how strong I am today or whatever. There's always someone stronger. So just ride. Just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the company. And then, like with this group, there were a lot of attacks and counterattacks. And you will see in a little bit, Mike Barreras will come and lift the pace. And everybody goes, and then we get into the neighborhood. That's the cool thing about this ride. We don't restrict people. You do what you got to do. But whatever you're doing, you better make sure you got something left. Because if you falter, the group will keep going. Make sure you got the route. And meet them at the next stop or at the end or whatever. So yeah. You gotta pay for your efforts. So the road starts to go up here. That's why the speeds are coming down. And I'm nestled in the back. I'm behind Logan. He's a pretty tall rider, good sized rider, so get a good draft. So about maybe 100 to 250 watts is what I'm doing. It's not much. I'm just sitting. You can see my cadence in the 80s. I'm not really working hard. Just observing. We're going downhill. That's why the watts have dropped. I think this is somewhere here. Yeah, this is where Mike comes and lifts the pace. We end up doing almost 30 miles an hour. 28, 29 miles an hour right now. We're right at 30 miles an hour. And it's breezy, so it's not a wind-aided 30 miles an hour. 31, 32 miles an hour. So we're really moving here. I'm sitting in like a 53, 14, 53, 13, something like that. Because in the group, I'm just kind of rolling. I'm not fighting that much wind. If I were at the front, I'd probably be spinning a slightly smaller gear. But sitting in the back, I'm just kind of watching. My heart rate is 133 beats per minute. That's like zone 1. So because of the group and the fact that we're slightly downhill. Yeah, it's at minus 2.2. This stretch here. So now when we turn, in a little bit we're going to turn onto the Hills Parkway. You're going to see exactly what happens when you don't ride with people. Nobody feels obligated to help you when you're messing around, changing the pace, doing all kinds of nonsense. Even if you did that in a race, in a breakaway, the other rider will sit up. So you'd be on your own. That's exactly what's going to happen here. Watch. Says you're not holding a decent pace line and keeping things reasonable, but then you want somebody to come through. No, this was your idea. You sit up there. So now nobody wants to pull. He flicked his elbow. This guy doesn't want to pull. This is the guy who was killing himself back there on Spring Branch Road. He's tired too, because what he was doing wasn't sustainable either. So all these attacks and counter attacks and constant attacks, what has happened is the group has slowed way down now, as opposed to the group being steady and making time. But that's what happens in road races or in breakaways. If you don't work with your breakaway members, you either get attacked or they stop working. Then you guys get caught. So now he's going to the front. I don't know what that meant. He's going to the front again because, I don't know, I guess. So then Laura and them come around. They're just watching to see what you want to do. Because why should they work with you if they're at the front and you're going to come and raise the pace while they're giving their all? So why should they work? You will sit up there till you get tired. So I don't know what you did this weekend, but this is part of what we did on Saturday. So remember, in your group rides, determine the character of the group. Decide whether you're going to ride with people or attack them. And then don't expect cooperation if you choose the latter.
Put this thing away, man.